Welcome back. This afternoon, we are pleased to have with us Shriram from HR-Tech. Shriram is an IHRP senior professional, as well as an accomplished leader in the HR-Tech space. In today's webinar, we delve into the exciting realm of leveraging generative AI, or Gen AI for short, to revolutionize HR processes. As the business and HR landscape undergoes rapid transformation, it is important to be open to solutions to optimize efficiency, elevate the employee experience, and streamline HR operation. Today, the webinar will explore the many possibilities presented by ChatGPT and other Gen AI tools. However, with the adoption of any transformative technology comes the need to address the potential risks and challenges. In the webinar, we will also explore the various best practices so that we can fit it into the existing HR framework. By doing so, we hope to equip you with the knowledge and insights needed to navigate these changes. So without much further ado, let us embark on this webinar where we unlock the potential of generative AI and empower the HR community to thrive in the age of technical innovation. Shriram, please.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Karina, Andy, and Firdaus for the opportunity. Exciting to be meeting with the IHRP folks again. As introduced, I've been part of the IHRP community for the last 4 years, and I also have the privilege of leading the HR Tech Task Force for IHRP. So at the end of this 1-hour webinar, my key intended outcome is how many of you are able to embark on this journey of adopting tech and AI for HR. The more, the merrier. And the more the people who get onto the bandwagon, we consider this webinar as a success. I'm going to quickly share my screen. Yep, the key aspect is World Economic Forum published a report in 2020. It said 85 million jobs are going to be lost due to AI. Panic all across the world. But the same report, which also talked about 97 million jobs getting created due to AI over the next few years. So AI job loss was creating a lot of stress. But trust me, as this saying goes, AI is not going to replace us. Okay, it's not just HR professionals, content creators, data scientists, software coders and programmers. Everyone's worried about generative AI, but AI won't replace us. Someone using AI will. If there is an early adopter of tech and AI, they will overtake someone who's dilly-dallying the adoption of tech. And I don't want HR teams to be lagging behind in tech. In my 24 years of HR career, one of the common complaints I have is HR teams are the last to adopt tech and data. And rather, we are driving workplace and workforce transformation at our organization. So we should be the first one to adopt tech and data. Now, I have split this presentation into 4 segments. The first segment, I'm going to talk to you about 4 practical tools that I'm using to enhance my daily productivity. Okay, I want to have a disclaimer here. I'm going to show you a lot of tools during the next 55 minutes of presentation, right? I want to ensure that the disclaimer clearly mentions that we are not endorsing any of these brands. We are not endorsing any of these tools. These are tools that are currently there, which we are just showcasing. You could feel free to adopt any similar tool. Also, 40% of the webinar today is going to be demonstrations, and I'm going to be showing live demos. So whenever we do a live demo with 400 plus people and on Zoom, there would be lag in speed. So I just want you to bear with me on that. But these are going to be live demos that you really will enjoy. Number 2, generative AI is a wave that is indispensable. All of us in the next 1 hour have to be very clear that we have to embark on this journey. Number 3, we're going to showcase use cases, how ChatGPT can be employed, leveraged across the employee lifecycle, across workforce planning, acquisition, engagement, learning and development, operations, compensation and benefits. We're going to show use cases. We're also going to be talking about the 4-step Gartner approach of leveraging Gen AI. Finally, right? How do you become a master of prompts? That's right. So we're going to be talking about some cheat sheets being shared, how to become a better master in prompts, some best practices. We're going to be talking about HR skills and jobs of the future. Okay. And before we get into the session, I also want to say we have been working with IHRP on the learning journey. So this webinar is going to be followed by a 3-hour workshop in July, 3-hour workshop in August, where we will actually be getting into details of all of these. So this is more of a showcase, but the workshops will be a lot more deep dive. Now, how do I leverage as an individual Gen AI to enhance my daily productivity? Now, as part of my daily role, I have to really look at multiple videos, right? I'm just waiting.
Hi, we're Five, a global marketplace connecting individuals and businesses with.
Hi, everyone.
Sorry. So there are multiple videos that I need to watch. I usually, watch these videos or hear these videos on my treadmill or on my long walks. But then ChatGPT has really transformed that I can now watch as many videos in a day very simply. So I have this tool, and again, I won't be naming the tool. So I have integrated with my YouTube. I click transcript, the entire video transcript is available here. Okay. And it's not just that. I click summary here. And what happens is, as you can see, ChatGPT opens up, the transcript is automatically put into it. And here goes Josh Bersin's summary. AI is disrupting the HR tech market by revolutionizing. All of this is here. Okay. So, and ChatGPT very sweetly also mentions, please note that the text provided was quite lengthy, so the bullet points aim to capture the main ideas. Essentially, in all of these videos, we need to get the core sense of it, right? And here, this 30-minute video that we were talking about has been compressed to me, and I get it in just 30 seconds, the entire summary. So I'm able to, as part of my consulting job, look at a lot more videos right now and understand the key matter. Okay. The tough task of being a consultant is to create PPTs day in and day out, right? So what we have to do is when we have to generate PPTs, it's a long process. Writer's block hits us completely. So this is what I do, right? To break the writer's block, I tell to me, hey, I need to create a presentation about a business case to my CEO for investment of Singapore dollar 100,000 for a HRMS system for our startup to increase employee experience. Okay. Now, okay, lo and behold, I press this. Now, what first happens is it's sharing me the outline. It's asking me, hey, I'm going to give you one slide on introduction, one slide on current HR challenges, one slide on benefits of HRMS system, cost benefit analysis, implementation plan, conclusion. I said, perfect, bingo, go ahead, right? Okay, yes, sir. And you see, in a click of just 1 minute, I have the entire slides presented here. And I go here, right? I see the first slide, investing in employee experience, a business case for HRMS system, right? It talks about introduction. It talks about current HR challenges. It gets the image which are created by AI, benefits of HRMS system, cost benefit analysis, implementation plan, conclusion. Now look, this is not going to be the best in class presentation, but you are off to a great start. You now have crossed the bridge. You're probably 60-70% covered. You get to add your own company specific aspects, download the presentation, and you're ready to go ahead. That's how it's really saved my day in terms of creating presentations, right? Zoom meetings. So now let me show you one quick day in and day out. We have Zoom meetings, we have Google Meets, we have GoToMeetings. I can't catch up with all of the meetings, right? So what do? What happens is I have this tool which opens up in every meeting. All the transcripts are automatically captured. Now, if you have a Zoom paid version, probably you will have, you will have the transcript. But what if you don't have a paid version? I use this and it gives me the complete transcript and I can take on notes. Not just that, if I'm not available for a particular meeting, it essentially captures the transcript and then tells me, hey, what are the key action items for me from the meeting? So I have the entire meeting summary without even attending it. Now, finally, I need email assistant, right? We are a startup. I can't afford to have an executive assistant, right? So what do? This is the email that I have received, one of the emails, right? And I just want to emphasize to you, all of these demos are live. It's not recorded video. So, you know, these are actually being done. Now, I get these emails. I get a lot of emails, and some of the emails are really lengthy. What do? I go here. I ask my Gmail assistant, hey, what is this essentially about? You know, make it shorter. Just tell me the summary. So it says, hey, we aim to provide top-notch products. This is the summary of the entire mail. So mail has been summarized. Okay, perfect. Now I say, hey, look, fantastic. You've given me the summary. Now, is there any action items for me? Find the action items, right? And we wait and wait. Okay, yeah. So we get the action items. It says, hey, I have to provide feedback. I have to share my thoughts. I have to share any suggestions. Bingo. This is how it has essentially been able to make my life easier. And I don't even get into ChatGPT. These are various tools that are integrated with ChatGPT. I can now video summaries. I can do presentations. I have online meeting summaries and email assistant to help me. This is a showcase to help you understand that this is how my productivity has gone up. And this is how all our productivity can go up by leveraging Gen AI, right? But one of the key aspects, why do you think that this wave is indispensable? Now, earlier, essentially AI was an obscure technology. Non-technologists did not understand that. It was the realm of data scientists, engineers, and experts only. But what has today happened is that with just knowing English language, I can generate new content. I can do a lot of things with Gen AI. That is the power of Gen AI. That is what is leading to a lot of adoptions. We have been seeing demonstrations of HR tech product providers over the last 3 months. And I can tell you for sure, by the end of the year, some of the products, HR tech products that are coming in are going to really make our jobs much, much easier. But I also know that HR folks really get flustered on technology, but we need to understand technology. And in this webinar, I'm going to address some of the common technology terms, right? Now let's look at AI. Now, AI is essentially all about the theory and development of computer systems to mimic the human intelligence, right? You train the computer systems to ensure it is able to understand emotions like us, is able to analyze, communicate. That is what AI is. Machine learning is a subset of AI. It's basically an algorithm. It's basically you train the computer systems to learn from data. So there is no pre-programming that is done, but essentially you tell the computer systems to learn from data. Now, deep learning, all of us have heard about deep learning. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Essentially, it is based on neural networks. Neural networks are essentially like our human brain. There are a lot of interconnected nodes that can essentially analyze multiple complex data patterns and find out, patterns from a lot of unstructured data. Even if there is no labeling in the database, it can understand and come up with whatever you want. Now comes Gen AI. Generative AI is a subset of deep learning. Generative AI is able to generate new content. The traditional AI, which I'm going to share with you in the next slide, the traditional AI was able to tell you only pre-program it, and it is going to tell you, yes, if you show two things, if this is what the user asks, then do this. If this is what the user wants, do that. But generative AI is able to generate new content because it is trained on data and it feeds on multiple billions of parameters to come up and generate with new data. I'm going to explain to you in the next slide a little bit on how Gen AI works. We are hearing large language models. Now, what are large language models? And we are hearing GPT-3, 4, Lambda, Llama. Essentially, large language model is essentially a large algorithm that can interact based on natural language. The input into the algorithm, input into the computer system is just natural language. And these are fed on billions of parameters. So for example, before ChatGPT was launched, it was trained on billions of parameters of publicly available resources to create the system. We have all heard of GPT-3 and 4. Okay, essentially, what does GPT stand for? Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Transformer is actually a neural architecture that was created by Google in 2017. So it's Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Now we also have Lambda. Lambda is actually a language model for dialogue application. This is what is powering Bard, Google's Bard. This is again a very large language model, which is being fed on billions of parameters. Okay, you can't stop Meta, right? You can't stop Facebook. Facebook has its own language model called Llama, right? Large language model, Meta AI. So essentially, and I'm sure all of you have heard the announcement from Meta a couple of days back. They have launched Voice Box, which means it can do live voice translation and live probably voice translation in your own voice. It can mimic any voice once trained on it. So the advancements in LLM are really, really based on how much more can you train the algorithm. The more parameters you are training, it is going to learn from it and become more robust. Natural language processing. It's essentially, to put it in very simple terms, how does the human and the computer interact? It is this particular algorithm that really makes it easier for LLMs to understand, to communicate, to interact with humans. Now, we need to understand a small aspect on this, right? Essentially, traditional AI, you need to provide traditional AI structured data. You need to clean the data. You need to have labels for the data. And then the machine learning would essentially identify the relationship between the data and the labels. So the moment you give an input, it will check against the specific data and then give you a label as an output. So it's based on a lot of pre-programming. It's based on a lot of algorithms that is uses, which is predefined. Very low to moderate creativity, predominantly used in science and technology domains, used only by people who would understand technology. To come up with this was highly time consuming and resource intensive. And that's when generative AI, and to be very frank, generative AI is not something which came up just in November, right? The Transformer was launched in 2017, 2012, 2000 onwards, there's a lot of work that has happened, essentially. So generative AI works on unstructured data. It can find a pattern in the unstructured data. It can create a statistical model out of that. And so when you have an input coming in natural language, like we call it prompts. So the moment you give a prompt to it as an input, it uses the statistical model and creates the output, which can be in the form of an image, a voice, or an audio, or a video, or a 3D image. Okay, so there's no explicit predefined programming. The ML, the machine learning, actually learns from the data that is fed into it, the billions of parameters. Very high degree of creativity. And that's why all of us are able to leverage it. Very, very less time consuming to come up with the robust products into the market with this, but it consumes significant computational resources. Okay, the data infrastructure need to run this is really immense. So it really costs a lot. We need to understand the difference between traditional AI and generative AI before we go into. Okay, now before we get into HR, we need to understand business, right? What are global organizations doing this? Pfizer is actually leveraging its Gen AI platform Atomwise to accelerate drug discovery process. Imagine it is able to optimize potential drugs that are coming into the market. Essentially, the life cycle of research to going to the market is getting crunched. Unilever recently launched its Axe AI body spray. You know what? They use Gen AI to analyze 6,000 ingredients, 3.5 potential fragrance combinations to come up with this. Netflix, if you have seen the Dog and Boy animated short film, they have used Gen AI to create image synthesis for the backgrounds. Synopsys uses it for design space optimization of chips, essentially. So chip design optimization really saves a lot of cost. You know, that, if you can understand, is the most cost intensive aspect. So business is going full on board to adopt generative AI. Is HR leveraging generative AI? Is the question. The myth that I want to bust with this session is that only certain jobs will get impacted by Gen AI, right? That's the myth. The reality is all industry segments are going to be impacted by Gen AI. It's not just content creators. It's content creators, data scientists, software engineers, coders, HR professionals, video professionals. If voice box comes in, language translators, everyone's going to get impacted by this in a big way. But I go back to the first thing. AI is not going to replace us. Someone using AI is going to replace us. So we need to start adopting tech and AI. Now, if I'm sure all of you have seen the recent announcement by Microsoft, this is one of the most awaited product releases. It's called Microsoft Copilot. What is Microsoft Copilot? It is not just embedding ChatGPT into Microsoft. It is actually Copilot is designed to be a sophisticated processing and orchestration engine, right? So it is using large language model, GPT in this case. It uses your data through Microsoft Graph, so your organization data, and you have the Microsoft apps, right? Which is Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Teams. All of this will have now GPT, LLMs in it, and look at the impact. So I'm going to play you a 2-minute video which just showcases how all our day-to-day work on Microsoft apps is going to change.
You ask Copilot to visualize what contributed to the decline in sales growth this period. Copilot adds a little color to make the problem jump off the page. Now, you want to dig deeper and ask a follow-up question. Copilot not only answers your question, it creates a simple model of the scenario. And it even asks you if you want to learn more about what it did with a step-by-step breakdown. Finally, you can ask it to create a graph of your projected model. Copilot turned a sea of data into clear insights and actions.
It looks like you have a dentist appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can follow a meeting and catch up to see what you missed, even if you can't attend. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. And you can see the content that was shared, detailed notes, and any action items. You see there was some discussion about your customer. You can ask Copilot specific questions to get more context, and it provides a detailed response. You can ask questions like why a certain decision was made, or what other options were considered. And it provides citations with a snapshot of the transcript. It's a huge time saver. So that was pretty cool. But the real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. Here, you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize what's happened so far. You can see who said what points were made. Copilot is really capturing the spirit of the discussion. As the meeting progresses, you can check on where people stand. You can even ask Copilot what questions are unresolved. Let's try it out. Here, the team is collaborating in real time on product offers and pricing, adding notes and action items to keep everyone on track and up to date. You can ask Copilot to pull data from Excel on the top-selling products by category, and within seconds, it's processing the information. Another member of your team jumps in and adds a column. And anyone can prompt Copilot to build on each other's ideas. Everything is captured in prompt history.
Fantastic, isn't it? This is exactly what I had showcased right up front on some of the tools that are available in the market, which I have been leveraging more to enhance my personal productivity. But then what essentially Microsoft is doing is they are bringing in the large language model, integrating your business data, organization data through Microsoft Graph onto the Microsoft apps and creating this robust platform, which will really, really make all our jobs much easier. So just waiting for it to be launched, just to make keep it just keep you all informed. Microsoft Copilot has still not been launched. It is yet to be launched. Okay, but let me talk to you about this. Why is AI gaining a lot of prominence? As I mentioned earlier, AI was earlier obscure technology, right? It was in the realm of only data scientists, engineers, and coders and programmers. But now what has happened is it's what you call democratization of AI. Now, with the huge impact that is happening in LLMs and natural language processing, all of us can essentially become coders, can become AI specialists by interacting with it through natural language prompts and generate new content, which really has ensured that today, the kind of impact that you see from generative AI, earlier you would see chatbot and virtual assistants. I still use chatbots of some of the banks and some of the organizations. Oh my God, they don't even understand what we are talking about, right? And here we are in a situation where the AI can really help people, right? So these are the various aspects how ChatGPT, generative AI is making an impact for in the business segment. But what I want to highlight is not business, right? We are HR folks. We need to understand how is ChatGPT. Okay, I'm using Chat, generative pre-trained transformer, and generative AI in a mixed fashion. So if I say ChatGPT, I'm essentially talking about generative AI. It's not that I'm trying to promote a GPT-3 and 4 versus Lambda or Llama. I'm being neutral. I'm just telling you ChatGPT because everyone understands that. Now, this is the application of technology across the employee lifecycle. Now, let's look at, oh my God, it's already 455 people in the organization, in the webinar. That is the impact generative AI is creating right now. Every day we have queries from clients on, hey, my HR team is not ready on generative AI. We need to get trained. What do we need to do? How do we start? So all of this material that we have put together is L0 or L0.5 to essentially bring people. And then based on the HR capability, we go to L1, L2, L3 level to train them on some of these. Now let's take strategic workforce planning. How can generative AI help in a skills gap? Now, ChatGPT can help identify skills gap. It can analyze job descriptions, resumes, employee profiles. It can compare the required skills with available skills. It can identify where expertise is lacking and suggest ways to bridge the skill gaps. Workforce forecasting. Now, ChatGPT can analyze industry trends, market reports, can tell you what are the emerging jobs and roles in demand in your industry globally, in your industry in Singapore, what your competitors are hiring. It can predict future workforce trends. It can recommend to you your buy or build strategy, right? When you say buy, it is talent acquisition, or build is more like talent development. So it can essentially help in workforce forecasting that can bring down your talent shortage and optimize resource planning. Succession planning, for example, in talent management. It can analyze employee performance data, assess leadership qualities in a customized fashion for leaders of different industry segments. Within your organization, there are different business units. You probably need to assess each one of the leaders in a different fashion. It can do customized assessment. It can suggest development programs. It can provide mentorship opportunities, career paths, simulations, scenarios. All of this can be handled by ChatGPT for your high post. Finally, internal talent marketplace, right? Now, this is an area where all of us struggle. When we have a need, we go out and hire. We have to provide a lot more opportunities to our internal employees. So generative AI as a virtual assistant can help your employees explore their opportunities, internal opportunities within the organization, assess their current skills, assess what skills are needed for the new role that they want to do, provide the skills gap, and also to give them personalized career recommendations to move to that. All of this can be handled. So that's workforce planning. Now let's look at talent acquisition. The basic aspect is you can now create unbiased lot of job ads. So in the demonstration that is going to follow this slide is how you can use job generation. Interview questions, my God, hiring managers go to the interviews completely unplanned. Now we can help them as a HR team. We can help them also. So you can create job ads. You can create job descriptions seamlessly. You can do customized assessment. It's not just about creating customized assessment for Python 2, Python 3 based on the individual, right? I go to as a software tester, probably I go in expecting manual testing, and then suddenly there are automation testing. I probably don't know how to answer. But based on the individual, ChatGPT can provide customized questions based on your capability. It can assess on various type of formats. Earlier, you might say, how different is it from earlier, right? Earlier, AI could manually correct multiple choice questions, but short answers or scenario-based questions or case studies were always evaluated by humans. Now, if you just train your generative AI to say, hey, this is the expected answer, it can evaluate the responses from candidates for short answers, case studies, simulations, and provide them instant feedback also. Saves a lot of hiring manager time. And one more interesting aspect in assessments is definitely the adaptive assessments. So if someone is able to answer tougher questions, the further questions can be made even more tougher, right? So the format that we used to have in GMAT and GRE, adaptive assessments can now become easily done by all of us. Personalized onboarding. Hybrid workplace has ensured new joiners have a very, very hard task in onboarding now, but you can create now interactive virtual tours. Now you can embed ChatGPT so that if questions are asked by the candidate, it can even answer those questions on your culture, on your organization. It can provide very specific onboarding related FAQs also, not just what you have programmed, but based on the data, it can actually provide the right answers also. Candidate engagement. We always focus on employee engagement, but candidate engagement, responding to FAQs of candidates, when they take up assessments, promptly responding to them with their feedback. All of this can be now handled by generative AI. Let's look at employee engagement. Performance management is an area that is a headache for all HR business partners. Now, ChatGPT can help employees on guiding them on how to set smart goals. It can clarify objectives. It can monitor their performance progress. It can help them on performance review preparation. So tomorrow, if they are going to have a performance review, it can help them on performance preparation. The boring task of nudging them to do check-ins and update, all of those reminders can be done. We all do employee surveys, but sentiment analysis is a significant aspect. Real-time feedback, sentiment, employee emotions, all of this can be captured to better perform the employee surveys. And finally, we all talked about work-life balance. And after the pandemic, we only talk about work-life integration. Now, HR's role is not to provide healthcare, wellness support after someone reaches out or after the issue has come up. We have to proactively identify people at risk and offer them support. And that is where generative AI can collect and analyze data from multiple sources, from your insurance data, from your performance management data, absenteeism data, all of these data, big data, it can analyze and tell you who are the employees at risk of mental health, and you can proactively offer them support. So there are a lot of ways this can happen. Now, I could go on and on, but I would probably say that there is an application in L&D, there is a sub application in total rewards, where you can even provide them, you offer them flexi employment benefits. You can offer them super employee flexible benefits based on what the employee wants. But what is important is these two aspects. Now, conversational chatbot sits on top, bottom, and talent analytics. So which means you can now, every product today can leverage talent analytics across the employee lifecycle. You will very soon, in 3 to 6 months, all your HR systems will have robust talent analytics dashboards. Chatbots will now become more prevalent and will be more smarter chatbots, right? And again, application, not just in employee engagement or talent acquisition, but across the employee lifecycle. Now, I want you to, this is the live demo, right? And wherever we have this as the icon, you know, there is a demo coming up. And I can tell you one thing, what we have also done is for the workshops that we have planned in July and August, we are creating really hands-on. We are creating hands-on aspects where you can do all of these, right? Let's look at Lupin AI. It's a leave policy generator. Now, we were working with a startup, and they were struggling on writing the leave policy. How do we go about it? They would put it in the IHRP group. Can someone share with me leave policy? All of those, right? Now, we are not endorsing this, but I'm saying how things have become much easier, right? With this AI, with this policy generator, you know, you provide basic details, you keep next, there are 4 steps to it, you do it, and you get, you know, your policy generator. Now, you obviously have to do validation. Again, I want to have a strong disclaimer, Control V, Control U, Control I on the disclaimer that, you know, these are not recommended tools, but this is to bring awareness that these tools have come in. Now, it does 70% of our job or 80% of our job. Our job then comes in. Is it right? Is it aligned to the local government policy? All of those aspects. Now, this is again another policy generator, right? Which is available. It's not just one. There are multiple such policy generators that have come up, right? This is on talent acquisition. Now, for example, we all struggle on job description. You know, I have seen recruiters go and tell, you know, the headhunters, hey, I don't have the JD. Can you just find me a cloud architect, Azure cloud architect? And that's it, 10, 15 years experience. See, when a candidate definitely expects a job description. So what you can do is quickly create a job description, send it to the hiring manager and say, hey, does this job description actually meet your recommendation, meet your requirement? And they can, and you have again crossed 70% of the things. And imagine the wow factor the business team gets when they know that the HR team, the recruitment team can really come up with complex job descriptions of tech aspects. Now, this is something I really love. Okay, the hiring managers go unprepared for interviews, right? Now I can ask, okay, oh sure, should be Azure. Yeah, so while it generates, so it can tell you these are the questions that can come up, and you can share it with the respective hiring manager on what are the aspects that you can look at it. Now, if you want to specifically ask on Python 2, Python 3, you could do that. You could ask on whatever specific technology or specific nuances in the HR function. All of this now can be generated. Now, there's something called, you can now, for employee engagement, you know, the writer's block is always there. How to create, you know, engaging quizzes, how to create engaging stories, how to create engaging polls. Now you have to just say, create a story on need for work-life balance. Now, since this actually sends it to the email, I have done this already, and I'm going to show you the sample on how this tool actually helped me create work-life balance a poll for the employees. Again, this is very US specific, right? But you can actually, when people can attempt this, and then you can send it. At the end of it, it tells you what your score is, right? I got 0 out of 8 because I didn't answer anything. This is how employee engagement has become much easier, right? Now, as we look at it, we never have gone to ChatGPT. All of this is through allied tools that have come in. Now, the question to HR teams is, hey, how do I leverage generative AI? What is the step-by-step process? Step-by-step process, go to the web browser of ChatGPT, input your text prompts, and then you've received results, right? That's a standard process. Become a master at it, okay? Or you could use some of these tools that are available, but become a master with the ChatGPT web browser. Then you get into prompt engineering without APIs. You know, all of us have heard of RPAs, all of us have heard of Zapier. Now you can zap multiple tools, and Zapier doesn't need any technology background at all. You can integrate various, your applicant tracking system, your recruitment automation tool to ChatGPT through Zap, and then you can use it. So which means you don't have to go to ChatGPT. Your recruitment software is good enough to handle it. The next step is how you can use through API. So these are large organizations which have large, 10,000 employees. You can use APIs to integrate with ChatGPT or generative AI. And then finally, custom build. These are for MNCs and large organizations where you really need to customize the entire thing. You can do customized build. Let's look at the same thing from a HR perspective. Now, again, I'm taking only resume, candidate screening, and selection process for this example, right? I'm just taking for this example. But again, in the workshop, we're going to showcase multiple examples across the employee lifecycle that we were talking about. So this is just TA specific. Now, it talks about input resume content to GPT directly. You put the resume onto the web browser. It will do and tell you how. I'm going to show you a demo right now, and will tell you how much it fits, right? Then next step is you integrate your recruitment automation software with Zapier or RPA, and then using API, and then you can custom build, right? You can generate tailored screening evaluations, iterative feedback. All of this can be brought in. Now, let me show you example of how this can be done. Okay, so I go to ChatGPT open here. I got ChatGPT open here. Okay, I go to here. So I have this prompt. I say on the prompt, hey, I'm a recruitment manager for an MNC. We are looking to hire a junior level software engineer. As part of the resume screening phase, we are looking to hire someone with at least 12 months of work experience in Java and Python coding languages. Please check the below resume. Now, the beauty is I don't have to be a tech recruiter to do this, right? What I do this is I just copy, replace this. I am adhering to data privacy aspects, no name, no email, nothing. I put a random resume. I ask ChatGPT, right? And then what does ChatGPT do? It says, hey, based on the provided resume, this is the fitment. This is what the person has done. It can even pick up the company names. It can talk about specific experience with regard to Java and Python. But remember, in this resume, I consciously removed number of years of experience in this. Very smartly, it mentions, based on the provided resume, it appears that candidate has relevant experience in software development, but there is no explicit mention of 12 months of work experience, right? So it could conduct a further interview on Java and Python. So essentially, it really tells the recruiter that this is a resume that clears the first step. Now you can take it forward. You know what? The recruiter doesn't have to now send it to the hiring manager. The resume waits at the hiring manager's inbox, waiting to be reviewed. All of this can be done very, very seamlessly. Now, this is a common example where I have used ChatGPT web browser. I put the resume, I put my requirement, and got it done. Now we are coming to the most important aspect, right? Prompting 101. Okay, I see a lot of questions coming up. Please get the questions coming up. Okay. But I want to, this is prompting 101. Every prompt should cover all of these aspects: role, context, action, tone, example, output, format. So if your role is a CHRO, business partner, generalist, intern, total reward specialist, whatever it is, specify the role. What is the context? We are hiring people, we are retrenching people, we are coming up with a compliance policy, we are tightening the compliance. So what do you want it to do? Do you want it to brainstorm? Do you want it to write something, summarize something, teach you something? You can say, hey, teach me Pareto's principle. It can teach you Pareto's principle. Or if you want to say, critique this particular policy, it can critique the policy. Now you can come up with a tone, right? Persuasive, friendly, formal, poetic, humorous, narrative, descriptive. We go back to Wren and Martin right now. The more you use English vocabulary, grammar, tone, tenor, it is going to generate much better response. But I hear someone already saying, hey, what if I don't know? I didn't focus on my English literature class. I'm going to answer that in the next question, in the next slide. So hold on to the horses. Example, tell ChatGPT, use this as an example and give me this. What kind of output do you want? Do you want a blog, email, press release, PowerPoint, LinkedIn post, tweet, quote, VBA script? In the workshop, we are going to even talk about how you can create VBA script of a presentation from ChatGPT, put it in PowerPoint, and lo and behold, you have a PowerPoint that has been created. And the format. The key thing is you should be very, very less corporate jargon, very detailed, very clear, very specific. Detail doesn't mean short. You have to be detailed. Provide as many input criteria. These are the criteria. These 7 criteria, try to cover as much as possible. Keep amending prompts till you get the expected outcome. Now, these are some of the way you structure the output and give it to them. Now, just keep remembering this particular post, right? I have taken this, act as if I'm the chief HRO. I need to do, this is for strategic workforce planning. This is to rewrite the resume. So if you are looking for a job, use ChatGPT to rewrite your resume. Okay, and this is where I answer all those people who say, hey, look, I didn't focus on my English grammar lessons in school. No problem. Today, there are tools available in the marketplace which can help you become better prompts, right? Write better prompts. In fact, there are multiple things. Now, I'm using this. In fact, it asked me, which LLM are you using? ChatGPT, GPT-4. You get access to GPT-4 when you have an upgraded version. Or what are you using? I say this, and then I put my original prompt. If you remember, I had the original prompt, I put this. I am the chief human officer, and I had put this. It really tells me what is the optimized prompt that I should use. Now, what I do, I go copy paste this and put it in ChatGPT. I get the response. I don't know prompt. It's okay. You can use tools to become better at prompts and then use it in your use it to get the required response. Now, I want to highlight in this best practices couple of key things, right? Now, number one, it is not about prompting. It is about identifying what is the problem I need to articulate and solve. We need to be very, very good in problem identification and articulation. Number two, experiment with guardrails. I'm sure all of you have seen this news item on 3 Samsung employees. Actually, what they did was one of them put their company code, software code into it to optimize it. Another put to, do the test bug. But what happens is, ChatGPT clearly says some of these information that you or the information that you share will be used by the public domain. So these were privy information of Samsung that got into ChatGPT and was available for the public domain. So we need to do experiment, but with guardrails. We should not put company-specific privacy aspects into ChatGPT. Proceed, but don't over pivot. The next GDPR is the European Union AI Act that is in the offing. All of us have seen a lot of news about it. That's coming up. That could be the next GDPR. That could really turn around how AI is being used in Europe and probably globally. So proceed cautiously, experiment, but don't completely over pivot. Keep checking. So tomorrow, the Singapore government could launch something similar to a PDPA for AI. Okay, you have to check for bias. You have to involve your employees early on. All of these are very, very sensitive aspects. Now, as we are talking, Swechha is actually sharing the cheat sheet of the master prompts and sharing the aspect of this slide for you to download from the chat box and use it. Now, this is my last slide. New roles are coming up. Exciting new roles are coming up. Chatbot and human facilitator. Second act coach. A lot of people are getting laid off, right? Are becoming redundant. Their skills are not getting used. HR teams now have a great aspect of becoming a second act coach. You probably need to understand technology. Also, HR identify what roles that people can move into. Algorithm bias auditor. As mentioned, the algo will definitely be biased, right? You need to have HR knowledge. Also, you need to know technology to do the audit. Workplace environment architect. Your workplace is going to be tomorrow. Today we have digital coaching, which means bots are training humans. Tomorrow, humans will train bots. That will also happen. Humans have to coach bots because your team will have 50% digital employees and 15% humans. So the workplace environment has to be architected accordingly. Now, there are 9 essential HR skills of the future, but to progress on the digital journey, these are the 4 aspects. You know, how much ever we search, we don't get design thinking for HR use cases because HR still does not use design thinking. Data literacy, tech savviness, and you need to use creativity and innovation. So these are some of the roles and skills that are essentially needed by you. And obviously, we can cover a lot of it in the workshop. People come and ask me, okay, so do I have to pay to attend the workshop? What course do I have to buy? I said, hop on to the AI bandwagon. These are some free courses that are available in the marketplace today of Google, AIHR. If you have a full academy license, they have this. You have Coursera, you have Great Learning, you have Deep Learning, which is slightly more technology centric, but I would encourage all of you to look at it. These are free courses on AI, generative AI, ChatGPT that are available for you to embark upon.